Alright, so we got a big change up on this video and what I believe is going to be the middle of this video. When I say I believe, reason being is because I noted this in what I also think is going to be the last video or one of the last two videos. When it comes to electrical portion of the things, very similar to what I had noted in what I think is the last video or the video before that, we've jumped around a lot. So you're going to see a lot of the phases of the car changing throughout the electrical portions, just like you did with what I believe is the plumbing portion in that video. So we've got quite a bit of content in relation to the electrical portion, and I believe that we got enough content to roll out two videos, and I might even with the plumbing portion as well. But either way, I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to work out. I'm not even exactly sure necessarily how I videoed the electrical portion. We've been so back and forth on everything. Like I said, you're going to see the progress of the car changing in the background as this video is rolled out. And I'm really not even sure how I'm going to get all this put together. But I'll figure it out via editing and make it all look as good as possible and as clear as possible and as understandable as possible. So that's what we're going to do now. And as you notice, I'm here at my house. We've got the car back here, and the goal was to get it back here to get it finished wired. So that's what we're doing now. Virtually pretty close to one of the last things we got to do on the car is finish wire it. So that's what we're doing now. I got it in my garage. We don't have a lot of room in here. I'll show you right now, and I'll also show you kind of where we're at on everything. So here it is. You can see not a ton of room in here, but that's okay. And what we've done is, since we were working on it last, we've got everything from up here, all the wiring up to the cab. So we've got the radiator, the water pump, the primer pump, the LED lights, the line lock. What else? And I believe the only other thing is going to be the connection from the headlights that's going to go up front, which I got to get the connector piece for that. There's a couple things that I'm going to actually order this week to get all that finished. And then back here, we've got the tail lights, which are right here up underneath. It's kind of hard to see. Once I open the garage, you'll see a little bit better. But that, and then some LEDs back here and inside the cab. So what we've done is there's a little connector here that goes to the firewall, which you're definitely not going to be able to see. So I'm going to cut and open the garage. Alright, so that's a little better. There's the connector that I'm talking about. So all those wires that come from the front, the only other thing I got add up here is a couple wires that come from the starter and then the headlights. So there's that connector, goes to the firewall, and it just locks in. I'll show it to you from the other side. Here it is on the other side. So it's a nice connector piece. As you can see, I'm gonna have a lot of openings in it. So it's a 29 position. So with that, there's 29 opportunities for me to come through that firewall. And I think I'm actually only gonna use like, I don't know, 7, 8. And the reason I went with the 29 was because I wasn't 100% sure on what I was gonna do with all the grounds. So if I were gonna end up running all the grounds through there, it was just based off of what was gonna be cleaner. If I were gonna run all the grounds through it, then you could double that up. So that would end up being 14, and obviously there's different gauges. So there was like, I think I actually got it written down here. There are 6 of the 16 to 22, 19 of the 14 to 20, and then 4 of the 10 to 14. So didn't have a ton of options there, and if I ran out of one, then it wasn't really going to work. If I needed just say 5 of those 10 to 14s. So that's why we went with that. That's why I got that. And obviously if I ever want to put anything else in the car. So got plenty of opportunity for plugs there. So what we've done here is I makeshift the battery, a temporary battery down here on the floor, and I ran everything off the ground, the power, all that good stuff, and then my relay panel, just to double check, make sure everything works. So everything's ran to outside of that panel on this side. Now what we're going to do is start poking everything through here, and we're going to start wiring it finished wire. So we're going to clean everything up, get all that looking pretty. Couple other things that I got to get is my starter solenoid, the lighting that's going to go in the front clip up here, which you can see how beautifully that's hung up there. Not a lot of room in here, but that's what we're working with, so hopefully she don't fall on the car at any time. I got those two things. Let's see, we got to do my buttons here, got to finish up all the fuel tech stuff. We still got quite a bit to do, so either way, that's what we're going to be working on now, and we're going to start sharing that process. And then really what I want to do is just start to get a lot of this stuff cleaned up, make it look pretty, and then kind of progressing through with that. So we'll start to show things getting clicked on. My switch panel up here has been working, got all that work via the relay panel, so it's all kosher. We've seen lights come on and off, so it's been pretty sweet actually seeing stuff turn on and off. So we'll show that process, and without further ado, we're gonna get to work. So I'm gonna do the best that I can to video as much as possible. It's just me here. Just gives me the opportunity to work on this and tinker with it a little bit after work, and I have to make the trip all the way back to the shop, so it'll make things a little bit easier for us. So that's where we're at now. I'm gonna get to work on this. I'm gonna do the best that I can to video this, so stay tuned, bear with me, I greatly appreciate it. Alright, I'm going to explain to y'all what I've done here. So, these are my buttons. Obviously, you can see I got one just slid into the steering wheel there. Obviously, that's my steering wheel. Here's the other button for the other one. These buttons are for line lock, trans brake, all my staging stuff, things like that, bumping in, whatnot. So, these two buttons will control all that. The problem I'm having is, and these buttons are not cheap, is these threads here are not long enough for this steering wheel setup. You can see how far this pad sticks out right here on this side. So when I put this button in there, it doesn't allow from the back side a jam nut to catch and actually make this button usable. So it seats down in there too far with this padding sticking out. So what I've done is I've ordered this threaded adapter, and it changes from 5/8 to 3/4. So as the inside, you can see, well, it's threaded on the inside there. It'll fit the button, so the button will actually screw into this. This main piece will come in from the back side, and the button will thread into here. And then I ordered this jam nut for the outside, and the jam nut will go on this side of the steering wheel. So as this will come in the back, this jam nut will be on the driver's side of the steering wheel, and it'll tighten all that down. So it goes from 5/8 to 3/4, and it'll hold my button out just far enough to where I can actually use the button itself. So that's what that's designed for. The only thing I actually got to do is drill out this hole just a little bit bigger so I can slide this in through the back side. So that's our plan now. We're going to get to work on this, and I think it's going to work out perfect. So this is actually designed for gun barrels. So it's an adapter for a gun barrel. So that's what it's for. This is not easy to find. It's not common. You can't go to your hardware store and buy this. So luckily I came across it, and I think it's going to work out perfect. So let's see how it goes. All right, that's good.
Huh?
Alright, so this is going to have to be one solid update because I really have not been videoing any of this. There is a lot going on, not a lot of room, and I'm going to try to do better to do some more videoing of the actual process, but I'm not actually going to go through everything because there's so much that we've ran and done, but I'm going to try to start from the back and kind of just explain everything we got going on as best that I can. So we've done quite a bit of wiring. One thing that we've added here, and it's going to be kind of hard to see, is I've got, it's right here. Let's see if I can get hold of it here. We wired in this wire here, which is going to go to one of the sensors for the brake pressure. So that's going to go down there, and then we also had to order 4 new sensors for 4 new pressure sensors, which are right here, all of which go to the transmission. So we've got that wired in. The only thing is we don't have a place to mount this block, so I got to make something for that before we can plug it in. So we've got that. We've got, let's see here, I can see it, it's not on jacks anymore. We got the 2 lugs there. We still got a couple more that are going to go into that through firewall connector, and then obviously the hot lug for the starter. So yes, the starter is wired in, the jumper wire and the main feed. So we've got that. There's a couple more wires, and as you can see there with that through firewall connector there, we've used a lot more than I thought, so I'm glad we went with the extra. So we have all the right sizes and it's all going to work. We got everything plugged in here, and yes, we did temporarily use the starter button, and it did activate the starter, which is beautiful. I got my starter solenoid there. And then we've got the main feed coming through. We've got wired in all these connectors. These are for the sensors. And what our plan is for those sensors is I'm going to take these 2 bolts off the pan. One there, one there. And I'm going to make a bracket. And I'm going to mount this. This isn't exactly where it's going to go, but in this general area, along with this solenoid for the CO to the shifter. Mount those together. Got to get that wired in. Let's see, we got buttons. You guys saw a lot of that going down, but it is there fed over and wired in. Steering wheel's turned, but it comes all the way over. And here are the connections that I'm using: inputs and outputs. And each of these 2 connectors do a little bit different. And I'm not going to tell you I know exactly everything, but you could pull from a ground or a hot, depending on if you're going to run a 12 volt or a 5 volt feed. And you'll tell it in the system which one you're going to run on that connection. And then on this one, we're using a lot of 5 volts for all the sensors and things like that on this one. So all the hots will run to 1 pin, and then all the grounds will run to another pin, and then all the whites will run to the corresponding pin with what it's going to tell in the system to do for that specific sensor or whatever it is that we got plugged in there. We got the drive shaft sensor. We've got all the other sensors plugged in there that I've installed, or that we've installed, which we got the 2 sensors here on the dump side of the transmission. One for the lockup in the future. Gonna go ahead and finish wire that in. One for the converter pressure, and then you got trans brake pressure, and then also the battery pressure runs there too. So that's that. And here's the other connection that I'm working on for the outputs, yellow outputs. So it's kind of confusing. It took a while to wrap our head around it, but we're finally getting it. Got all the grounds plugged in there. Got the main starter feed ran all the way back, and then we also got all the other feeds, hot and ground, ran up and down through the back into over to the master shutoff and the battery. So really all we're going to be working on now is we'll tie this fuse in. We'll get all this to the right length. We got the bump buttons to get activated. We got wire to run for the headlights. When we get those in, we got a lot of cleanup to do, and then hopefully shut all that up and be done. We got to finish wire the trans brake and all the stuff for the dump on this side of the transmission, on the dump side of the transmission. But we still got quite a bit to do, but we were making headway, and it's looking fairly good. So we'll try to video as much as we can, but not going to promise anything because it's not easy to do, and it's a lot easier just to work on it. So bare minimum, we'll give an update, and yeah, we're going to keep plugging away at it. So now what I'm doing is I'm wiring in the shifter. So a solid state relay, which I've actually got 3 of these, and I have not shown me wiring any of them, but they're all very similar. So I'm going to kind of show what I'm doing here in relation to the shifter. So for the shifter, it's got a neutral safety switch, and what that means is that it only allows power to the starter when in neutral or park. So I have to run this relay, and actually, let me grab the camera here and I'll show you. I've actually got it drawn up here. So I'm hoping this is right, and the way I got it plugged in, I actually already trialed it and it worked. So here's my relay, which is right here, and number 87 is going to run to the solenoid. Number 86 over here is running to the shifter, the hot side of the shifter, and then there's a ground on that shifter, and then the bottom one is going to run to the relay board, so where it's going to grab its power from. So that's how that'll all go. Here's the shifter in the car, and I'm getting all that plumbed in and wired in. There's a solenoid. I got some temporary wires on here that I was using to test it. That's solenoid, and then there's the relay board. So I got to tie all that in, and I got my 2 little relay holders here, and I think I'm going to throw the other one in. I got it on order. I haven't got it in yet, but right here or right here, just to make that all look kind of clean. And I'm going to pull, hopefully, all the wires from the same hole there and plug it in. So that's what I'm working on now, getting all that wired in, and hopefully this will be the last thing I got to wire, so we'll see. Alright, so I know it's kind of tough to see, it's getting pretty dark in here, but I got it all wired in. I just temporary grounded it for now because I'm done for the night, and like I said, I don't have the actual relay for this one in the relay holder, but there's that temporary relay that I'm using for something else. It's all wired in, just kind of dangling there right now. It's not in the holder, so this will all look a lot cleaner, but it is all wired in just to kind of trial once again. So here's the shifter Right now it is sitting in second gear. Alright, so if I come up here and I press the start button, you hear the relay go, the relay board, but it's not activating the solenoid. So when I put it in second and I hit it, or excuse me, neutral, and I hit it, you can hear the solenoid going off. Alright, here goes back to third. We'll go to third, hit it, nothing. Second, hit it, nothing. First, hit it, nothing. Reverse neutral, there it goes. Park, there it goes. So that's exactly how you want it. So when it's in gear, it's not going off. So here's what's about to go down. I initially planned on showing me cleaning up all the wiring within the car, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I think that plan has changed. So there's a lot of wires in here, and like I've noted in multiple previous videos, it's kind of hard to get in that car and video, especially with the camera that I have. I still haven't got a GoPro, but either way, it's hard to do all that at the same time, wire up, get the camera mounted, get a good view. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you before video, and then I'm going to show you an after video. So I've already actually started working on it a little bit, so it's actually already a little bit cleaner than it was. But I'll show all that. I'm not going to show a before of what's up underneath the motor and what's running the coil packs, the ignition, boost controller, the fan, so on and so forth. I am just going to show you what it looks like afterwards. So what my plan is to get it all cleaned up, and then I'm going to order some of this woven wire loom here. This is stuff that came off the old harness. I'm going to reuse some of this, but I'm going to order some more of that. I'm going to get it all cleaned up, get it nice and pretty looking, and then I'm going to get some shrink tape for the ends of it. Hopefully I can find something that'll work for that and make it even a little bit more clean. So here's what it looks like now. So as you can see, I've already started cleaning all that up. Got it taped real tight because that wire loom only comes up to 2 inches from what I found so far. So I'm trying to get it as tight as I can. Yes, it is going to make it a little bit tougher if I have to trace a wire down, but either way, I'm doing what I think's right now. So we'll see. So this is what I got. I got all that mess yet to do yet. So I left everything a little bit long. That way you can kind of pull it through. If I ever need to cut anything, splice anything, I can do so. So I just have to get it wound up. Man, it's going to take some time, but name of the game is what it is. We'll get it all cleaned up and looking pretty. I've already worked on this a little bit. Keep in mind, there's a panel that goes out here, so you never see any of this. But I got all that. Got all the wires running down through here underneath the transmission or next to the transmission. Wiring coming from the shifter there. By the way, we're going to get it all cleaned up, and I'll show you guys after. officially a wrap for the electrical part of this car. So we hope you all enjoyed it. You guys got to see quite a bit of what it takes to wire one of these hot rods. We've done a lot of work, a lot to get to where we're at right now. The only thing that we still got to tidy up just a bit, which you guys probably saw in the video, is some loose wiring for the LEDs. We actually swapped those LEDs, which you guys also saw in the video, to something new. A lot cleaner look and a lot more durable, if you will. So we got to do that yet. And then we got the harness on the motor side of the firewall right behind the motor that we got to tie back up. It just hasn't been, it's all clean and tidy, but we haven't put them back in the brackets that we made for them to get them up and from below the car. So we got to do that yet. We had to drop the pan, and then we also got to tie up the main wiring harness inside the car here. So it just goes up on that bar, ties up to that bar, and that'll look a little bit cleaner. Either way, you guys saw us do tying the trans brake air, all the different sensors, solenoid for the starter, all the outputs and inputs, all the stuff coming, the external stuff, tying into the fuel tech system, the also the shifter there. What else? All the stuff on the motor side, for the most part, you guys saw us do. I know some of the video we didn't share all of that stuff, but we did the best that we could to share most of it, and kind of the route that we took, the bump buttons, the buttons on the steering wheel, all that stuff as well. We are pleased with the way it turned out. It seems like everything's working fine. We have fired the car at this point, which is the video that's coming up. I think we got one more video to roll out prior to rolling that one out, but we're getting really close. The car has fired. We had some little gremlins that we had to fix, a couple of which were electrical, and I'll explain what those were in that video. The only thing that you didn't see turn on are the headlights, which I actually I'll show you in this video. I got the lower valence of the fog lights, whatever you want to consider, the blinker lights. We're going to use these as running lights, and I actually put some LEDs behind the grill as well. The two little grills for what would be on an OEM a hideaway headlight. So we actually made those somewhat functional, lightweight, just made some fiberglass panels and put all that together, and it looks really cool. And we'll show that in a video down the road as well. We hope that it helped you all out if you guys are kind of in this process or looking to tie in a relay board or relay panel and your switch panel and all that stuff into some type of system, whether it be fuel tech or not. I think the only thing that I would change going back is I'm not real fond of the way, I guess I could make an improvement here a little bit with this corner over here with all these different wires coming in and out. They kind of went in a whole bunch of different directions, so I did the best I could to keep this clean, but I'd like to have one just one big wire loom there instead of all the different ones, but we may be able to change that down the road. And then the only other thing would probably be the difference between the regular harness and the pro harness. So we obviously went with the pro harness like we had noted in a previous video, and it just comes with a lot more wiring, which once again we can fix later down the road. We can shorten up those wires, but it's just not real universal for every single car out there. So there's a lot of extra wire there that we had to tuck away and find room for. So we ask that you keep tuning in, and we also ask that you subscribe, you like, you share the channel. We're blessed to have you along in this journey, and we're getting closer and closer, and very excited to get this car out and get it tested. It's been a while since we rolled out a video, and we apologize for that. Been having a few technical difficulties with the software that we're utilizing to edit videos, and on top of the fact that I've been out for a few months now, out of state working, so I haven't really had the chance or opportunity to, number one, work on the car, number two, edit videos and roll them out on the channel. So we're blessed to have you, and we ask that you stay a part of the channel. We'll keep rolling them out, and hopefully a little bit quicker here in the near future. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. God bless.